Africa is not a setting often used in the gaming industry. Yes, I'm going there.
Woke.
So to see a game that not only features the continent and its biomes, but its culture and language so prominently was a jarring and welcome experience. Tales of KENZERA ZAU follows a young shaman named ZAU attempting to bring his father back to life by making a deal with Kalunga, the god of death. The irony is strong right off the jump with this one. Tales of KENZERA ZAU, hereby dubbed TOKZ,
Ain't nobody got time for that.
is a 2D Metroidvania side-scroller. Traversal is exactly what the genre has come to present in recent years, with lots of precise double jumps and dashes required to progress past challenging platforms that decay in seconds or await a falling boulder for those that are slow to action. Besides the challenging platforming, there's also a healthy dose of combat that will not let the player focus on the strengths of either the sun or moon abilities. To put it clearly, in TOKZ, Togs, I'm just gonna call it ZAU. There are two ways to battle enemies represented by the moon, which can be summarized as ranged attacks, and the sun, which can be summarized as close quarters combat. Hashtag Metal Gear Solid. Enemies are weak to one of the two, but never both, forcing the player to switch between one and the other. In later levels, enemies even have regenerating shields that allow them to take damage and not be affected if the player is using the wrong shaman power. Name the last time anyone played a game fully voiced with an African language, from start to finish. You can't, and neither can I. That alone counts in ZAU's favor. The traversal and platforming are pleasantly precise, leading to a fluid gameplay loop that can only lead to frustrating failure through the player's own mistakes in the myriad of moving puzzles presented throughout the game. One of the most fun but also challenging puzzles included the freezing of water so as to run on it, while also timing its melting point to allow the player to dash to the next section before being washed away by the strong current. The fights with enemies may also be considered puzzles within themselves. This is because the player has to keep track of various enemies on screen who are not all weak to either the sun or moon power, forcing the player to engage in the spiritual dance mentioned in the beginning by Kalunga. The skill tree that affects the aforementioned fights is less expansive than the player might be accustomed to, but there is such a thing as too much choice when it comes to leveling up abilities in modern gaming, and ZAU's upgrade system helps to maintain focus and precision. Plus, it's also important to note that most of the more powerful abilities are gained as the main story progresses. This includes the ability to freeze water or throw a powerful spiritual spear that does extra damage to enemies, and also unlocks doors. The forgiving skill tree is probably also tied to the lack of collectibles in ZAU. While sometimes the grind of collecting 1,000 bits and bobs can be cathartic, for those that don't have endless hours to dedicate to it, the lack of punishment for not engaging in a collectathon is welcome. While minor, there is a clear 2-second delay between unpausing the game and the registration of the first few button presses. Thankfully, it does not last longer, but is definitely there. Another minor gripe is the unimaginative music chosen. After seeing the opening sequence of a futuristic African state, it would have been nice to hear a braver selection of modern Afro beats. 1 or 2 South African house tracks would have been welcome. Tales of KENZERA ZAU is a great expression of the boundless naivete, bravery, and optimism afforded to only the youngest of humans. It delves into the various stages of grief with reckless abandon and a positive outlook rarely seen in an industry hell-bent on aggrandizing endless misery. A near masterpiece that embodies the breath of fresh air in every sense.